Hello, welcome to another session of our week 6 on this course on marketing management part 1. As I was discussing yesterday, we are going to cover during this week different aspects of behavioral interaction between marketing and buying. We are studying from consumers' perspective why we buy, how we buy, and what are the behavioral aspects that are important for designing a marketing program. Yesterday we were looking at different marketing occasions spanning a wide range of products and services. We discussed that customer fundamentally is looking for need satisfaction, solution to a problem, and in that we looked at the 3 categories of situations: very concrete tangible products and very intangible hard to measure services, and many combinations of products and services in between. We discussed that we have certain approaches or certain factors that influence our buying and the way we search for or gather knowledge about the occasion of buying. So, we discussed about search attributes, experience attributes, and credence attributes, and we discussed that or rather the briefly the buying process for concrete products where search attributes are predominant, and we discussed about the buying challenge for highly intangible services like medical services or legal services or knowledge services, where credence attributes are far higher compared to the other 2 classes of attributes. At the concluding stage, we were saying that just like these 3 search, experience, credence attributes, on the other side the approach or attitude of a buyer towards a buying situation will also have components, and this structural attitude, structural model of attitude is what we are going to discuss today. So, the most famous of these models are easy to understand and easy to apply is this model of cognition, affect and conation. It is often called a Tricomponent attitude model. So, cognitive components are those where the knowledge and perceptions are formed out of direct experiences and based on different sets of information coming from different sources, which may have an overlay of interpretation. So, scientific data, measurement data, numerical data like weight, volume, speed are the different types of cognitive components for most buying situations. Now, as you can understand, therefore, highly tangible products are subject to high cognitive components. On the other hand, the experience laden situations, the situations that are subject to credence determination are obviously highly laden with the affective component. We can consider these two also, as we discussed yesterday, as the logical, factual, scientific, measurement oriented aspects of the buying process, and the affective components are laden with emotions, feelings, impressions. So, on the cognitive side, the conscious judgments will dominate, and on the affective side, the subconscious, known and unknown feelings. Unknown means that we have sometimes feelings which we are not very aware of. Some of you who have studied organization science will know from the Johari window concept that there are always certain parts of our feelings and beliefs which are not very clear to us. It lies in our subconscious, and this subconscious is actually a very important part of our marketing strategy. When we discuss about advertising, promotion in more detail, we will see that often we structure our message as marketers at various levels. We appeal to conscious level of the consumer's mind. We also try to appeal to the subconscious level of the customer's mind. The cognitive and affective together contributes to the conative. Conative fundamentally means the action oriented. I mean, that is exactly what we are trying to generate through the marketing process, that is the intent to buy. So, the likelihood or tendency that an individual will undertake a specific action, that means basically towards buying, is what we call the conative component of the attitude. So, you can therefore understand that we appeal to the cognitive part, we appeal to the affective part to stimulate the conative part. That is sort of the an approach. So, attitude towards behavior model is a model that proposes that a consumer's attitude towards a specific behavior is a function of how strongly he or she believes that the action will lead to a specific outcome. So, you can see there is a cause effect sort of relationship and a kind of a very logical way of trying to understand that why we behave towards certain brands, towards certain offerings in a certain way. The theory of reasoned action is kind of envelops this whole discussion about attitude towards behavior, or this tri-component model that we discussed can be fundamentally looked at from this perspective, this theory of reasoned action. It basically is a theory of interrelationship among attitude, intention and behavior. So, those three components that we discussed, cognitive, affective and conation, and their interrelationships are explained by the theory of reasoned action. So, as you can see here, we are considering marketing appealing to the process of buying, which is an action that is taken by the consumer through a reasoning. Part of that reasoning is based on beliefs and behaviors that lead to a certain outcome. That means, we have a belief and a behavior set aimed at a certain outcome. If you remember, we were discussing yesterday that ultimately a customer's satisfaction is measured between by the gap of expectation and expectation formed before the acquisition of product or service and the perception post acquisition. And our expectations are created by different vectors. Some of those we discussed yesterday. Fundamentally, they can be clubbed under the extreme left hand block on your visual here, that is beliefs that the behavior lead to certain outcome, and then evaluation of the outcome. Between the two, therefore, when a comparison is done, we form an attitude toward the behavior. So, we know that if we behave in a certain way with the customer, then there will be a certain kind of outcome which will be more favorable for our offerings. And similarly, customers also have a certain beliefs that shape their behavior when they interact with the seller or marketer. And on the other side, we have this subjective side. So, this is the attitude side, this is the subjective side, where beliefs that specific referral think that I should or should not perform this behavior. So, these are kind of norms or principles or practices socially influenced, and then of course, there are motivation to comply with the specific reference, and that creates a. So, this is the behavior side, this is the norm side. The norm is also formed with reference to certain social, cultural standards, practices, beliefs, and the behavior is also formed with certain sets of beliefs. So, this side, this can be, this is the domain of marketing. This is where the marketers can create more influence. So, they can actually try to stimulate the belief that a behavior towards a certain brand will lead to certain kind of outcome. I would rather focus on this. This is the model that a consumer focuses forms various kinds of feelings and judgments. So, you can see therefore, what we are saying here is that cognitive and affective both are coming out of a process which is the formation process, and the formation of feelings, that is the affective part, the formation of judgments, that is the cognitive part, can both be influenced or shaped or stimulated by advertisements or marketing effort. And in that way it actually creates a certain predisposition, and that predisposition is the attitude with respect to a certain brand. So, it may sound complex, but if you just take these fundamental lesson that the marketing activities should aim to offer facts, information, interpretation that will allow the customer to form judgments with respect to certain quantitative expectations. So, your marketing must provide all kinds of information about the service or the product that will allow the customer to interpret concrete information towards different sorts of measurements of like weight, speed, volume, even somewhat intangible elements like fairness. We try to make it tangible by providing different kinds of measurement scales. So, we say okay, you use this fairness cream and we provide some kind of a measurement device and say okay, this is the shade card, and you can compare week after week the result that you are getting by using our product. This part, this tangible part has obviously a very high impact. So, we constantly try to create as much tangibility as possible out of intangibility by creating different kinds of proxies or demonstrations. On the other hand, the feeling part can also be shaped by marketing, by appealing to the subconscious, by appealing to certain subjective norms, social expectations, etc., which in turn will appeal to the subconscious of the customer, to the intangible side of the offering. So, as you can see that in case of offerings which are laden with the experience attributes and credence attributes, our marketing effort will have a higher component of different stimulus or stimuli for the affective part. So, we have facts and figures, packaging information, all kinds of data that we print on the package or we provide in the product manual or with the product leaflet, which are aiming towards the towards the cognitive part, and we have different kinds of messages through colors, through texture, through scent. So, appealing to the different senses, and the perception that you get out of those products through the senses are, it is possible to create shape an expectation about those through our advertising and marketing effort, so that what we feel after consumption is compared to not a sort of an universal set of expectation, but a prepared set of expectation. That preparation happens through the marketing. For example, this diagram shows the two parts, So, you can see here that the yellow box, the exposure to an ad, it on one hand creates appeals to the cognitive part. So, it tries to create some beliefs about the brand, which can be verified by the customer by the information provided with the product on the packaging, with the leaflet, in the manual and so on, and the customer can easily use different kinds of measuring tools, be it a scale, be it a weighing scale or a length measurement scale, etc., if they want to. And the ad on the other hand, when we say exposure to an ad, in a way we can even expand the impact of this module to the whole marketing effort, So, the marketing effort should also appeal towards the feelings, the affective part, and try to shape that side as well. So, that when finally the attitude towards an offering, a product, service, combination. So, in short, when attitude towards a brand is formed and continuously reinforced, that is derived, that reinforcement is derived, that attitude is derived from both the streams, and both streams are attempts of marketing, are evaluation of the success of your marketing, and therefore, if you look at the basic attitude functions, then the first two, the utilitarian and the ego defensive, are the most explain this left hand side and the right hand side of this diagram. And again, to repeat that even those theories may sound complex, the key aspect is that when customers approach a product or service, when customers evaluate a product or service, they do it mainly on two classes of attributes, which are or rather I would say two classes of processes, the cognitive process and the affective process. The cognitive process is very important for products which are high in search attribute, services which are high in search attribute, and the affective part is possibly more important, but very important. Both are important, but in case of products or services high in experience attributes or credence attributes, the appeal or the process of the affective feeling attitude formation is a more important part of the marketing. So, as a result, I will take a simple example of deodorants. So, some deodorants will highlight that it is a 24-hour perfume, it will last for 24 hours, or it will say if it is a antiperspirant deodorant, it will highlight that you will for 24 hours or 12 hours you will feel dry, you will not feel soggy at your armpits or other points where you feel, which kind of in a way due to social norms, it tells us that we are more appealing when we smell better, and therefore, we do not want to have our sweat stink affect or negatively people we are meeting or interacting with. So, it is a kind of a social norm that it needs to you need to smell good, and this smelling good for a duration, that means this 12 hours, 24 hours or super dry, these kinds of aspects will be then highlighted in this kind of DOs, which are therefore based more on functional or utilitarian appeal. But some DOs on the other hand may actually focus more on ego defensive, that means they can actually highlight more the different emotional part, different intangible benefits that you can derive. So, they will actually show that this DO and it actually it increases your social acceptance, you get a better result from your daily interactions, you will be more liked in an office meeting or in a social party. These kind of different subjective factors, not exactly the utilitarian part, but this kind of various kinds of emotional benefits that you can derive can be another way you can market a deodorant. But obviously, most of the time we try to combine the two and express a certain type of integrated appeal. So, marketing therefore is our effort to generate and shape both cognitive and affective expectations, and interestingly therefore, this is the harder part. Marketing's the effectiveness of a marketing campaign will also have to be affected, will also have to be judged the way our cognitive expectations are met, the way our affective expectations are met, and how therefore, in our mind our cognitive part is justified. So, I think from today's lesson the key take home should be this particular diagram, that that relationship between both the cognitive side and the affective side, the logical side, the emotional side of reactions generated through the marketing effort, shaping ultimately our attitude towards a brand or offering. We will see some more details of these various types of behavioral models that help us to understand the consumers better in the subsequent sessions. Thank you.